2011 was 11 years ago. You're welcome. As I grow older and wrinklier, I bear witness to a whole new generation of gamers who don't remember ye old times quite the way I do. Sure, you newer crowd know about Dark Souls, but many of you probably weren't around when it was in its heyday. From Software had already been around for a while and had their fans through series like Armored Core and Kingsfield, but Dark Souls was the game that put them on the world stage. Originally a spiritual successor to the much more experimental, far less polished, but no less imaginative and ambitious Demon Souls, Dark Souls was an expansion on that prototype of a formula that became an instant classic, creating ripples across the entire gaming industry still felt to this day. So influential was From Software's magnum opus that it birthed an entire subgenre of games inspired by it, and these days it's hard to browse Steam at all without tripping over titles carrying that ever vague tag of Souls-like. And yes, you probably knew this coming in here already, it's pretty hard. Dark Souls' difficulty has become something of a meme over the years, to the entire series' detriment in my opinion, not from a gameplay perspective necessarily, but from a marketing one. To the gaming public and gaming media at the time, Dark Souls was a trial by fire only for the most hardcore of hardcore gamers, an oasis of brutality in a desert of games that had become too hand-holdy, over-tutorialized, and oversimplified. And sure, there's some truth to that. This was not a game that was tripping over itself to please you or keep your attention. It presented itself to you, expected you to learn it, get better at it, and handle all the exploring of everything it had to offer on your own. Well, mostly, but we'll get to that later. It was a challenge, especially for the time, but good lord did people oversell that one aspect of it. If you'd only ever heard about it, you would have assumed it was just a rage game in the same vein as I Wanna Be the Guy, just with a bigger budget. Marketing for the game certainly didn't help. For God's sake, the title of its eventual PC port was the Prepare to Die edition. Come on now. And oh boy did this come with its fair share of elitism. You couldn't dislike Dark Souls without being called a scrubby casual, unfit to enjoy its magnificence, and thus did one of the most notorious phrases meme its way into pop culture: get good. Something uttered to anyone who expressed displeasure or frustration with the game, invalidating any and all criticism by placing the blame solely on the person's skill or lack thereof. Personal taste? A legitimate flaw with the game? Pfft, nah, you're just bad, boy, cry about it. I should clarify, I love this game to death, but this mentality and focus on this one aspect bothered me then, and still does. There was much more to Dark Souls that made it great than it just being hard. The level design, the art direction, the music, the world, the story, there was so much raw love and effort put into it that I felt went underappreciated at the time. All that's certainly not underappreciated now, hindsight is 2020 and all that, but there's still plenty about it that I don't hear mentioned enough. So I decided to revisit it and see just how well it holds up to that nostalgic memory. I've already gone back and played it many times before in the past, but I never really approached it with a critical eye, and been more willing to admit what it does well, and what it doesn't. Before we set off on this journey, I should mention that I'll be playing the remastered version, because despite all my problems with it, it is the most stable way to play Dark Souls on the PC. The original port was notoriously bad, and trying to record this game off my original PlayStation 3 version was always a minor nightmare, since the console's hardware never seemed to play nice with things like Elgato. It is unfortunate though, because the remastered version, while it is still basically the exact same game and keeps the vast majority of it untouched, makes a few changes to the visuals that I don't agree with. I'll get into that more in a bit though, because this intro is pushing 5 minutes by this point and we got a long road ahead of us. So pack your bags and gather around the bonfire, kids. We're gonna be here a while.